Let me hold together for you this morning the beginning of Matthew chapter 11 and the conclusion of Matthew chapter 11, which we just heard. At the beginning of this chapter, John the Baptist sends emissaries to Jesus. He sends them with a simple question. Are you actually the one for whom we have been waiting? Apparently, John the Baptist is underwhelmed by Jesus' ministry up to that point. John the Baptist expected the holy butt kicker to come into this world to bring the Roman Empire low and to raise up the people of Israel. And didn't look to John the Baptist, quite frankly, to anybody else, like that was going to be on Jesus' agenda. So the ambassadors, the emissaries of the Baptist, obediently go to Jesus and ask him the question, are you the one? Jesus replies, why don't you all head back to John the Baptist and tell him what you see. The lame walk, the blind see, the deaf hear, the hungry are fed. There are all sorts of signs of God's gentle reign breaking into this broken world. You go ahead and you tell John the Baptist all about that. Since the time of Jesus' ministry, Holy Mother Church on planet Earth has always valued ministries that do loving kindness to the world around us. We have hospitals, we have schools, we have food closets and help finding adequate clothing and shelter, and we do all of these things because Jesus did them first and he invited us to walk in his footsteps. We do these things because they help to alleviate human suffering in the world around us. We do these things because it's the right thing to do, and wherever we see someone doing those same things, whatever creed they may be, we see the Spirit of Jesus Christ at work. That means that you are in an assembly that plays well with people who pray differently. Remember that about yourself. The fact that the church has always treasured this kind of loving kindness in public ministry is one of the reasons that I have struggled mightily with you. I mourn the fact that we spend so very much as a congregation on ourselves. It seems odd when one lines up the way we take care of those gifts entrusted to us temporarily by Jesus Christ with the actual agenda of Jesus. But that's just my problem, I guess. As important as those things are, by the time we get to the end of Matthew chapter 11, Jesus goes just a little bit further. You see, there are people in this world who are healthy and wealthy and beautiful and young and influential, and they are still plagued with restless souls. A kind of restlessness that they almost don't have the words anymore to diagnose. That is not surprising to us. It's been a part of our understanding of human reality for centuries. St. Augustine gave us the words that were spoken in our opening prayer, the prayer of the day. Our hearts are restless until they rest in you, O God. And that's the note that Jesus hits by the end of Matthew chapter 11. He says, come to me, you who are weary and are carrying your heavy burdens, and I will give you rest. That sounds so good, so delicious, but he does not stop there. In feel-good Christianity, that's as much of Jesus as you would get. Jesus, the great soul elixir, who will give you peace, the balm from Gilead, that will make you content in the midst of your life's circumstances. And if you pervert it even further, you can make the argument that Jesus wants you to be so blessed that you will be wealthy in this world, perfectly healthy until your 90th year, at which point you will suddenly just shuffle off this mortal coil like Elijah in a chariot of fire with no suffering involved. Well, anybody who's actually lived this life know that that's just a false gospel. It's empty promises, and there's no truth in it. If you want real rest, if you want hope instead of wishful thinking, if you want joy instead of fickle happiness, if you want peace that doesn't make any kind of sense, given the state of your life, your body, your relationships, and the world around you, if you want those things, you have to read the end of chapter 11. Indeed, Jesus there says, "Come to me, you who are weary and carrying heavy burdens, and I will give you rest." But then he says, "Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls." Jesus says, you don't get a choice in this life whether or not you are going to bear a burden. Everyone will bear a burden. And you can choose the burdens that our human family believes you must carry, or you can bear the burden that Jesus offers you, his yoke. And that means discipleship. That does not mean sitting in a pretty room, executing the tribal liturgy, as long as God gives you life and breath. Maybe listening to scripture once a week. When someone asks you to pray for them, you actually just think about them for a moment, and you don't actually speak to your Creator, Redeemer, and Sanctifier on their behalf. That is not the yoke that Jesus is describing for us. The yoke means that your life is meant to look like the life of Jesus Christ, and it will never be perfect. If the Apostle Paul says, "Man, I know what I'm supposed to do, but I can't seem to pull it off," thanks be to God for Jesus Christ, who comes from outside of this body of failure and brings me into the real life. Thanks be to God for that. It's not easy. But ironically, your submission to the person of Jesus and his agenda and his way of life is your only hope to discover the peace that doesn't make any sense, the joy that lasts longer than happiness, and the hope that is so much more than the wishful thinking that so many of us are content with, and we will all be disappointed by that false hope. Christianity is not therapy. It is not inspiration. This is not a TED Talk. The music is not meant to get your feet tapping. The liturgy is not there for you. You are are being invited into the way of Jesus. And as harsh as it sounds, that way is the way of submission to his yoke. God bless you if you really want to try that. And if you do, don't be afraid to ask for help.